0818 715 815.
Hello, good afternoon, and you're very welcome to Liveline. Two baffling communications to begin our week here on Liveline. One about Padre Pio. We were talking to a man in a second who says Padre Pio saved his life in the last 3 weeks, and as you know, since September 23rd, people have been reporting on an apparition of Padre Pio in St. Saviour's Church below in Limerick. So we'll be talking to that man in a few minutes. But just before I do, we were contacted by a listener about fesh fixing. It's probably the best description I can put on it. And we then contacted on Comisiún le Rinci Gaeilge, which is the Commission for Irish Dancing. The Irish Commission for Irish Dancing. They rule and roll everything in that extraordinarily competitive and extraordinarily skilled world as well. And they say, and Kistefara have reported having received allegations with supporting documents of several grievous breaches of our code of conduct. Such unethical behaviour cannot and will not be tolerated by this organisation on Comisiún le Rinci Gaeilge. The evidence apparently dates back several years and identifies individuals allegedly offering various inducements to promote dancers to a higher than deserved placing at particular competitions. It is believed that there are a number of teachers and schools implicated in the allegation. Now, I'm just reading out the statement that we got from the CLRG when we put these questions out of the blue to them, because they came to us out of the blue this morning. Due to the possible far-reaching extent of such allegations and to ensure fairness, transparency and thoroughness, the services of an independent former judge of the Court of Appeal has been engaged to oversee and supervise the immediate investigation into these matters. They will have full and open access to the resources and records of CLRG. The process will no doubt be difficult and arduous, but this grossly unethical behaviour must be eliminated from our dance genre. We again appeal to any person with similar information that they should come forward and send such evidence to FARA at CLRG for inclusion into this independent investigation. The Commission regards such breaches to be gross misconduct. Any registered member found to be engaged in such practices will be subject to due and full process under our disciplinary procedures. Now, just to be clear, our understanding, it's about fesh fixing. There's nothing else alleged. The evidence apparently, I'm quoting it again, just to be clear in case you're thinking of anything else untoward. The evidence apparently dates back several years and identifies individuals allegedly offering various inducements to promote dancers to a higher than deserved placing at particular competitions. It is believed that there are a number of teachers and schools implicated in the allegation. Now, I don't know, what is Rinkegate? Can someone explain that statement to me, because we're baffled by it. And then we were contacted by the CLRG saying, please don't mention this. Well, you gave us a statement, and you're the national body, you're the biggest organisation for Irish dancing in the whole wide earthly world, and Irish dancing is so popular. But anyway, if anyone can explain that to our listeners, I would appreciate that. Jim McKeown in Cork. Jim, good afternoon.
Hello, Joe.
How did Padre Pio save your life?
Oh, stop. I was very, very ill, and I got a few heart attacks, and I was in intensive care, and eventually, I was dying, and then my family were called in, so I was in bed, kind of half drowsy, and they were all sitting around, and my heart stopped, it seems, and but it got going again. And I said a prayer every day to Padre Pio, and I come on in leaps and bounds, absolutely leaps and bounds. And I have a genuine faith in Padre Pio. I think it started with my friend, John Paul, was a great Padre Pio person, because his friend had been a friend of Padre Pio's.
Is this Pope John Paul?
Sorry?
When you say your friend John Paul, is that...
John Paul Valley, yeah. Well, his friend was actually went over to Italy and met Padre Pio, and there are a lot of unexplained things.
And what did the medics say about your miraculous recovery, Jim?
The they were surprised, and I suppose I was a bit surprised myself as well, because I was pretty bad, all right, But touch wood, I absolutely come on and leaves and bones, and definitely there's, because I could tell you 2 or 3 amazing stories about my friend went out to a house around about 10 miles from Cork. There was a girl at a party in Manchester, and so I don't know why, somebody fired a shot and the bullet hit her in the brain, and she was very bad. And he went over to Manchester and blessed the girl with relics of Padre Pio. And the next day they took an X-ray of the girl, and the bullet was gone. Now, I actually met the girl, and she said, "Yeah, that's the story. She's perfect. She doesn't know how it happened." And they renamed the ward Padre Pio ward in England.
And Jim, just because it's Padre Pio, now he's seldom out of the news in Ireland because we've a special. People have a special devotion to Padre Pio in Ireland. Isn't that true to say? It was the 54th anniversary of his death. He's a saint, by the way.
That's right,
last week, and there was a service. I think it's a regular service in St Saviour's Catholic Church in Limerick. And reading from the Examiner here, about 500 people attended the mass organised by the Pray, Hope and Don't Worry prayer group, which is a lovely name. Pray, Hope and Don't Worry, which is devoted to St. Pio. Did Padre, was that his motto, Jim? Pray, Hope and Don't Worry?
I think so. Like the other thing is, like, nobody...
Now, they believe, you see, the prayer group has erected a large photograph inside St. Saviour's Church, which they believe shows an apparition of Padre Pio appearing during the Mass in Limerick Church in 2018. 2 eyewitnesses, Mary Tyne and Richard from County Mayo, living in Limerick, and Nellie Cosgrave from Ballybrown, County Limerick, said a bright shape in the photograph changed colour and evolved into a discernible figure of St. Pio dressed in his brown coloured habit because he was a Capuchin. Now, Jim, would you just explain to your younger listeners who was Padre Pio? Explain the stigmata.
Well, he was obviously living in Italy. He was ordained a priest in 1910, but one of the most amazing things was he had Christ, his hands and his side. There were 2 holes in both hands and in his side, and they were bleeding. And nobody could explain how they got there or how to fix them as such, I suppose. And
and these were the marks. It was said these were the marks Christ had on the cross.
Christ, yeah, they were, yeah.
The crucified Christ.
But even when in Italy, he it seems when he visited somebody who was self-healed, there was a huge smell of a flower. Was it roses? And 1 or 2 people I spoke to said they got that smell, when he prayed to Padre Pio. People with cancer and people who were a week to live. There are some amazing stories. And I'd be very cynical now when people tell me those things. I check them out. I actually got a letter from the doctor in COH telling me that there was a woman, all right, and she had a few days to live. And my friend visited her with Padre Pio relic and prayed, and there was a smell. It just smelled like a perfume. And the next day, and a few days after, the woman was absolutely perfect. Perfect.
Now,
so it's hard to explain.
The relic you're talking about is Padre Pio's mitts, because he wore these mitts, these fingerless gloves, to cover the stigmata.
Right. That's right.
Now, there's a number of those mitts in Ireland, isn't it? Is that the relic you're talking about?
Well, my friend has one.
And what does the myth do?
In 1910.
Say again?
He was ordained a priest in 1910, or a Capuchin, sorry. And but those relics are like my friend John. He blessed me, and whatever happened, whether it was, my mental attitude has gone very positive, because you'd be very down, when I was in intensive care for 56 days, and tubes and wires and no telly and no visitors, and it's sort of depressing. But when I got very, very bad in, and I was on the way out as such, the heart stopped, and all the family were around me, and it got going again. Anyway, for some reason, I don't know why. I just don't know why. But then they were kind of going to let me. They said, "Look, you'll be here."
And how do people get their hands on the mitt?
Yeah, he.
There's one in Ireland because there's a photograph of one of the women who was at the Pray, Hope and Don't Worry service in Limerick. She has one of the mitts.
A man called Donald Enright, he's from Passage West, was a friend of Padre Pio's, and he got one and he gave it to that man has died since, but he gave it to my friend now at the moment, JP Barry, and JP has it, and he blessed me about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I don't know, it's all about belief as well, you know, because there are dozens of stories about.
Yeah, well, let's listen to another story. Kay, 08187158115 51555 text. Kay, your Padre Pio story.
This is unbelievable. Sorry, excuse me.
Well, most of the stories are.
This is true. I had builders in the house, and we got a wooden stairs put in, and it was varnished. And then they were doing the banisters upstairs, and my husband was giving them a hand, and he was sanding down the banisters upstairs, and he stopped and he turned and he said to Kevin, "Will you come in and have a look at this?" Mm-hmm. And Kevin said, "Oh my God, I can't believe that. That's Padre Pio. His face is in the banisters upstairs, Joe. And that has been sanded and varnished many, many a time. And his face is still there as prominent as when it first came. It's unbelievable. You can see his face, you can see the high forehead, and you can see the beard, and you can see his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that could be anybody.
Oh, no, it's not anybody. It's Padre Pio. No. It's the image of Padre Pio. Now, I had great faith to Padre Pio. I had breast cancer in 1993, and I had a small little relic of Padre Pio in my hand, and I kept that in my hand going down for my operation, and the nurse could not believe it. It was still in my fist when I came back from my operation, and I swear that he took me through, and I never looked back after that. Yeah, no, it's definitely Padre Pio up on the. I've taken a photo.
And do you have a photograph of it?
Yeah, I've taken a photograph of it and sent it to many of my friends, and they can't believe it. They said, "Oh my God!"
Send it to us. Send it to us. Well, because if I see an image, say, of someone with a high forehead, long face, and bearded, I'd be thinking I have a special devotion, which I have, to George Bernard Shaw. You know what I mean? Would I see George, thinnish enough face, would I see George Bernard Shaw because I'm mad about him, or would you see Padre Pio because you're mad about him?
No, yeah, because I have sent this in to my friends, and I've said to them, "Who do you think this is?" And it's Padre Pio. That's Padre Pio. And now, if you want me to send this to you now,
I do,
I'm
absolutely.
80 hold on now, Joe.
Yeah, take your time.
I'm 80 years of age.
I understand.
So you'll have to put me back to your.
Yeah, no bother. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, and get her to put me through, and I'll send it to you.
Okay, we'll do that, and we'll talk to you again in a few minutes. Okay, Kay, you've talked to Shane there, yeah?
Yeah.
Philip Scanlon.
Yes, Joe.
You run a Prayer, Hope and Don't Worry group.
Yes.
You were there in the church in Limerick.
Yes, I was.
And what happened?
Well, I suppose you have to go back 2018, Joe. That was the first time St. Padre Pio appeared in our group. There's a lady called Cindy Rusev from America. St. Padre Pio still appears to her to this day. And we brought this statue from over in Canada. There's only 4 of them in the world of St. Padre Pio, and it was launched by the bishop in the Dominican Church on Padre Pio's birthday. Okay. And my wife Mary was just after being diagnosed with cancer, so she was after getting cancer in 9 places. So we were sitting at the front of the church, and I just seen Cindy stand up and take a photograph and sit back down. And Tottenham Moor, Mass started.
And did you take a photograph with her phone or a camera, or do you remember? Phone, okay, phone. Yeah, there. Yeah.
And she called me over and she says, I knew Padre Pio would be here. And she showed me the phone, so it wasn't like she ran down the road and got a photoshopped, she never left the church. And I could see, as you see in the paper, it was the spirit of Padre Pio on the altar, where there was no one up there was no light shining through the windows or anything. And that was kind of the first miracle, that happened in the group. And we never said anything about the picture. We kind of we had it with us, and it was always displayed in our group every month. And just there recently, on the 23rd of September, that would have been the day St. Padre Pio died, Mass was on, and the photograph that Cindy took 4 years ago, the picture we had up, came to life again. And St. Padre Pio appeared in it in his robe, but in life. And I think it lasted for 3 or 4 minutes. And these two ladies spotted it, She was trying to tip me in the shoulder to look at it, but Mass was on, and I was kind of just watching Mass and that, and I didn't turn, but I fully believe I wasn't meant to see it anyway, but the two ladies seen it instantly, and it kind of went on from there.
But what's the significance or the meaning of it, even if...
I suppose it's just giving us confirmation for our group that it is, that is blessed and that we're doing the right thing,
And who came up with the phrase, pray, hope and don't worry?
I suppose, Joe, I came up with the name, pray, hope and don't worry, because Padre Pio used to always say that. Because when I was given the glove, it came from Cindy Russo. It was actually Father Dominic Myers was Padre Pio's secretary back in the early 40s, 50s, and he got sick in 1953, and he was going back to America, and he was given 2 of the gloves of St. Padre Pio, where they stayed with the Capuchins for about 70 years. And after that, when the last priest was dying, they gave him to a lady called Cindy Russo. And she met a priest from Ireland, and she said, I only need 1 of the gloves, and I want to give 1 of them to Ireland. And the priest picked me, because I've been working with the Grey Friars in Moyross for the last 12 years. And they're known as the monks in Moyross. And so when we got the glove, me and my wife were like, we couldn't believe it. I knew I wasn't worthy. And 2 weeks after that, my wife was diagnosed with cancer in 9 places. So it was kind of like, all right, God, you give me the glove to go pray with people, and now my wife has cancer because I have a special needs child as well who's full-time. So I was kind of like, how am I going to do this? But I kept going, and on the 23rd of September, a year later, my wife got the all clear on Padre Pio's feast day. So then it came back again, and then she got the all clear the following year again on Padre Pio's feast day, and now it's back again. So, yeah, it's been some journey,
And he was canonised, which means and I know there was previous popes have been sceptical of Padre Pio. Now I'm going back to the 30s when who would have been pious said he couldn't hear confession, couldn't say mass, wasn't to be.
Yeah.
They thought the local Capuchin community were using him for financial gain.
Yeah, and you see that in a lot of holy places too. You'll get that everywhere.
And how many people would come to your Pray, Hope and Don't Worry prayer group?
Well, usually, Joe, you'd have between 70 people every month. But when it comes to the feast day, it'll be packed because either his birthday...
And are there many of those groups around the country?
I think there's around 70 Padre Pio groups in the country.
But is there any link between... Padre Pio was very big in the 60s when the world was in turmoil, wasn't he? The Vietnam War and political assassinations. Italy was in turmoil. Yeah. Andreotti, the mafia, the Red Brigade, all across Europe, that upheaval. Padre Pio a lot of people seem to turn to him. Now we're in upheaval again, Ukraine, COVID, uncertainty, people's lives, savings or whatever. And is this when people turn to the likes of Padre Pio again?
I never knew Padre Pio. Yeah. I was never a person that went to Mass, Joe. I only got back my faith about 12, 13 years ago. So I never wanted to go to Mass, or I never, furthest from church I wanted to go. So for me to be doing this is even a miracle.
Okay, okay. Stay with us. More people on Padre Pio after this break. Joe at RTE.ie, 51551's a text.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815. Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
And Joe at RT.ie. Now, Mary Tynan, who was one of the women who saw the apparition of Padre Pio in the church, she's unable to speak to us at the moment, but she said she did get a message on that day as well from Padre Pio. Now, Nellie Cosgrave was also in the Church of St. Saviour in Limerick on that day. And Nellie, can you tell us what you saw that day, please?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, Nellie, it's Joe here, Joe Duffy. Can you tell us what you saw?
Talk up, please?
Yeah, can you tell us what you saw that day of Padre Pio, Nellie?
Yes. Can I tell you what I saw?
Yes, please.
Yes. Well, on last Friday was the feast day, a very, very special feast day of Padre Pio.
Yeah.
And we have this picture. We have several pictures of Padre Pio, but this particular picture is only about maybe a 4x4 or 5, but we leave them all up on the altar rails. Mm-hmm. And it was taken, this particular picture was taken by Cindy Russo, who is an American lady terribly attached to the Padre Pio. And she happened to be in Ireland, and we were all having the Mass at 11 o'clock. This is about 4 years ago, and I'm just telling you about the picture.
Yeah.
And she was inspired to take a photograph, which she did, and lo and behold, it showed up a figure of Padre Pio, all in white, on the altar. Now, we have this picture, and we bring it each month with us into the church. And I was 3 seats back from the altar, and the picture was on the altar rails, and it was at the elevation of the Mass. And lo and behold, something drew my attention to the picture. It was ablaze. It was illuminated, the very same as the sun was shining down on it. And at first it looked like a silver, and then it changed, and lo and behold, I could see Padre Pio in his brown habit and his cord around his waist. It was as clear as daylight, and that lasted for about 3 minutes. And I nudged my friend beside me, Mary Tynan, and I drew her attention, and she saw exactly the same as I saw. And then it gradually faded away, and the whole thing became like a blaze of red light. Yeah. But Padre Pio was still in the photograph, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, as I said, it lasted for about 5 minutes in all, and eventually the whole thing faded away, and the picture went back to normality. That's all I can tell you.
And Nellie, was there a message? Did Padre Pio say anything?
Was there what?
Was there a message? Did he say anything? Did he speak?
There were several. There was other people in the front. My son was up in the front. Philip Scanlon was up in front of me. They saw nothing whatsoever. Like that, as I said, we were all concentrating on it was only my eye was drawn to the picture. I've never seen anything like it.
And Nellie, how long have you had a devotion to Padre Pio?
Oh, God, way back. I've always prayed to Padre Pio, and here in Ballybrown, way back, I don't know how many years ago, I had a Padre Pio here, but then a prayer group, but then the priest that was doing it with me, he left the parish, and we didn't continue with it. But I always prayed to Padre Pio. I have no very special, but I know that he carries the wounds of our Lord. He's had these wounds for 50 years, and he's doing the work. He's the hands and eyes of our Lord. And I feel as though maybe there's so much sadness there in the world, and people that come every month to us and they tell their stories, and it's so sad, and the sickness is out there, that maybe Padre Pio wants us to, instill to them that there is hope. There is hope there, and there's conversions, and we have terrible conversions here at the Padre Pio prayer groups. People that have been away from the church maybe 50 years will come back and go to confession with the monks. So that's all I can tell you.
Okay, that's incredible, Nellie. And Nellie, have you ever seen Padre Pio, or have you ever touched the relic?
No, I've never been to San Giovanni. No. Only the photographs that I have a special prayer that I say to him every morning.
You pray to him every day?
Yeah. We were privileged, Mary and myself were just privileged to see. And Mary can tell you the very same story as to strange to the two of us were witnesses,
Yeah.
And I drew her attention. She saw nothing till I drew her, and I said, look at the Padre Pio picture. And this is what she saw, exactly what I saw.
And Nellie, what do you say to people who don't believe you?
What do I think of it?
What do you say to people who don't believe you?
Well, all I can say is I'm telling the truth, and maybe Padre Pio had naturally a reason for appearing on that picture, and it was strange for the 4 years down that he should appear on that picture, So I just encourage them and tell them that there is a God, and that Padre Pio has the stigmatis exam because he suffered the same as our Lord suffered on the cross.
Yeah. And
that's all I can tell you now.
No, you're very clear. You're very clear. And why do you think Padre Pio only appeared to you, Nellie, and Mary?
Well, I suppose, you see, I meet the people here at the meetings and talk to them, and maybe this now, the fact that I'll tell them my story, that they will have more devotion. Like, they wouldn't have devotion to him only that they come for the blessings. So maybe it will strengthen their faith, and they'll bring more people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Nellie, do you think Padre Pio has made you a better person?
Has he made me a better person?
Yeah.
That I couldn't get to know now, Joe. That I couldn't get to know. I don't think I can be any better than what I am. I'm 92 years of age, and I'm very, very privileged to have the honour of seeing this.
Yeah.
Very, very privileged. Why I was chosen, I don't know.
But
Mary is the same. Mary is in all as well.
But did Padre Pio say, or did you understand it on the day that Padre Pio was saying, please try and spread my prayer group, pray, hope and don't worry. Please try and spread the word.
Oh, Joe, I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
I can't. Yeah, I'll go back to you.
The message from Padre Pio.
Hello?
Okay, it's hard to hear.
Sorry, Joe,
that's my Michael. How are you? No, I was just trying to. I know there's a hearing issue, but to ask Nellie, if Padre Pio's appearance was a message for Nellie and other people to try and spread the word and get more people back into the church.
Yes, yeah. It was.
Okay. And were you there? You were there, weren't you, Nellie?
I was there, Joe. I was there myself. I was up in the very front row there with Philip and another friend of us, but none of us actually saw it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it was just my mother saw it, and her friend Mary.
And was there a message?
Was there a message, man? Was there a message?
What?
Was there a message?
No message.
No message. No. She just saw him on the picture, and there was no message or nothing.
Yeah. Okay. And your mother's obviously, she's a very good-natured woman. She's obviously a very devout woman, is she, Michael?
She's. Yeah. She's been going she goes to mass every day, so she does.
Yeah, great.
And if she can't go to mass, then she will watch mass on the television. Actually, will watch it on the television, sometimes. And she's been saying the rotary and going to mass since about 6 years of age.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's very devout person,
And did she ever think of joining a convent or?
No.
Because I was watching an incredible documentary over the weekend about the Sister Pascal, the nun who went from Dreshan to Japan when she was 20. She was a missionary, and she spent 78 years in Japan. As a nun, and what a devotion! And then I have to update, and because she was nearly 100 when the documentary was made, and that was relatively recently. But what came across was this incredible devotion, and this incredible contentment, contentment that people who believe have. Mary, stay there, Michael. Is Nellie okay there? She's just hard of hearing. Is that it?
Yeah,
no bad.
She's kind of hard of hearing,
But that doesn't make a difference because she's so sharp. Mary Prendergast, Mary.
Sorry. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Joe.
Mary, yes.
Yeah, I suppose I'm just ringing up here to your show just to tell that my son was in a very serious car accident 15 years ago. And with a very serious head injury. And cousins of mine in Passage West brought in the glove into CUH. Yeah. And at the time, it worked great wonders for him. And he had a very serious eye injury.
Oh, God.
So that they were doctors were contemplating on closing down his eye completely. And we got the glove in and we prayed hard. And the consultant rang me on the way to the hospital saying that they weren't going to close his eye, that they'd try and work on it, and they did alternative work on it. And he has never looked back. And my son now is back living his life to full capacity and is married with kids. So I really and truly owe it all to Padre Pio.
My God. And did you use the relic or did you?
We did. We got in the
relic. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the relic, the glove, was put to his head in the hospital.
And how is he now?
He's 100%, thanks be to God.
Brilliant. But did the medics have any explanation? Did the medics say there's a good chance he would have got?
No, they didn't have any explanation, but I'd say my cousins had such devotion to him, to Padre Pio, and they still have to this day. And we prayed so hard because at the time we were very given a little hope. And we really put our prayers to him. And I look back on it today and I always say it was Padre Pio.
Okay, and how is your son today?
100%, he's great, thanks to God.
Brilliant.
It's great. I think it's a great story to tell people.
And why do you think, I know the operation happened 2 or 3 years ago, but people are talking about it now, and now there's this prayer group, Pray, Hope and Don't Worry, that seems to be getting more popular. Is it in difficult times that people turn to these phenomena?
For me, it was at a very difficult time. Yeah. And my family, but we did put all our faith in him. And I suppose it was our cousins really had such faith in him. So they brought the glove to us at the time, because I didn't know much about Padre Pio, but they brought the glove in to us and said, this will work. And we really put our heart into it. And as I said, we got great comfort.
And do you touch the glove, or is it in a glass frame?
Yeah, we were able to touch the glove.
You have to handle it.
Yes,
it's a woolen glove. Is it woolen? Or?
It's a kind of a woolen glove, and the nurses in CUH, they let us bring it in. They placed it on his head, and he came out after that, and we as a family got blessed with the glove.
Okay.
But I must say, looking back on it, I definitely, and I could say that I had great faith. I have great faith in him since.
And how many, do you know how many of the Padre Pio's myths are in Ireland?
I just know of the one.
The one, okay.
I know
well, we'll find
in Passage West.
We'll find it. And did you say to the medical team?
I did.
For your son that it was Padre Pio who saved him, not you?
Well, I didn't say.
No, you didn't put it that way. That's me.
I put my faith in the medical team. But at the same time, I felt, the medical team were fantastic.
Of course, yeah.
They're really saving. But at the same time, I still think we need that little bit extra. We need faith as well. And I just felt the faith was there.
I'm just wondering, with the world now in an awful state, to say the least, that doesn't adequately explain it, with threats of nuclear war like never before. Ukraine, famine, the Yemen, Somalia, Middle Americans and South America, and lots of issues there as well. And as well as our own issues at home, post-COVID, now in the post-Ukraine and not the middle of Ukraine. It's a difficult one. Rosemary Elliott, you have the Padre Pio glove.
Yes, that's right. It's been in our family for the past 40 years.
And how did you come across it, Rosemary?
Well, I tell you what, it's my dad, Michael McCardle in Castleblaney. Mm-hmm. His brother was a priest called Father Jack McCardle.
Okay.
Who was a famous priest in Dublin, wrote many books. In fact, he was on RTE television back in the 80s. He used to take groups over to Padre Pio in San Giovanni. And they give him one of Padre Pio's mittens.
Mm-hmm.
And he, as a priest, was too busy and couldn't really take on the glove. So he gave it to his brother, my dad, Michael McCardle.
And when you say take on the glove, what, you have a lot of people looking for you? Would that be looking for
it? Oh, gosh. I've taken it off my dad this past about 3 months ago because my dad is now blind and deaf. He's 89 years of age.
Okay.
And he couldn't hear people coming to the door and hear them on the phone, so I made the decision to take it. And, oh, my God, it really is. It's a full-time job.
And what do you mean? People ring you?
People ring me, and then you have to organise.
And they say, what do they say to you?
Well, they tell me what the issue is, whether it's somebody in hospital dying or somebody in an accident or somebody with stage 4 cancer, whatever the problem is. And I give them the glove to take out to bless that person. And as soon as they drive down my avenue, somebody else is on the phone looking for it. And
can you refuse to give out the glove, Rosemary?
I don't, no.
Do you know? And how, given it's so valuable and so important...
I trust in Padre Pio I have to leave it to him to bring it back.
Okay, and has it ever been delayed in coming back?
In fact, yes, I remember one time, it's about 2 or 3 years ago now, that my dad gave the glove out to a young boy who was very seriously ill.
Okay.
And his father got the glove to take to him to the Crumlin Children's Hospital in Dublin.
Yeah.
And next thing, he was airlifted to Switzerland.
Okay.
So my dad was going crazy because there was people phoning him up looking for the glove, and obviously the father couldn't leave it. He just got this call to say that they had to fly to Switzerland, so he had to take the glove with him.
Okay. So, and are there other of Padre Pio's myths in Ireland?
I think there's one in Belfast, one in Cork, one down the middle of the country, one in Derry. There's about 5 or 6, as far as we know, in Ireland.
That's some list. That's nearly more branches than AIB at this stage, Rosemary. You think there's 5 of them in Ireland?
I think there's 5 of them in Ireland.
Okay, and what's the material? Is it wool or?
It's wool. It's not a glove, as we call it a Padre Pio's glove, but it's actually a mitten. It's brown fabric. There's no fingers in it. And these mittens were used to cover Padre Pio's wounds when he said Mass.
Okay, and are they like fingerless?
Fingerless.
Gloves? Yeah.
Fingerless.
Yeah.
A little brown.
And how do you store it?
Well, we actually have, because people way back originally, when Dad first got it, would cut a little piece of it and take it. So we had to cover it in this plastic material. So that it wouldn't, it would end up then you would have nothing to hand out.
And I don't want to know the exact location, but where is the glove now?
I have the glove. I live in Emmy Vale in County Monaghan. Okay. I have my dad's glove.
Oh, you have it at the minute?
I have it, and I will have it for the foreseeable future.
And when is the last time someone asked to take it off you?
Well, somebody came from Donegal yesterday, drove down from Donegal to my home and took it up to a very sick baby in Dublin Hospital.
God. Oh, my God. And they brought it back to you on the way back?
They brought it back yesterday evening. And
how do you cope hearing all those very difficult stories?
Well, thankfully, Joe, I'm probably the best person for the job. I pray. All I can do is pray for those people. I go to Mass every day and I try, and when I say try, and do my 3 rosaries every day and pray. I pray for everybody, as my dad did before him, who gets the Padre Pio glove.
Okay.
And I hand over the stories because, I mean, some of them really are horrendous and I can't take on all of that.
Yeah.
So I just hand it over to God.
And what do your local clerics think of it?
I've only moved to Emmy Vale. I lived in Monaghan for 28 years, so I don't think they would have any problem with my dad now. My dad has another relic, and he took it. Padre Pio's feast day was on the 23rd of September last week. And he took it, and the priest blessed everybody in the church in Casablanca on his feast day with that other relic that Dad has.
Okay. And he is a saint of the Catholic Church, so
Padre
Saint Pio is recognised.
Yeah, he is, and he's not just a saint, he's a saint of our times. He died in 1968 when our grandparents were alive, and he was the most powerful saint that ever lived.
In what way, Rosemary?
Well, he said that he cured so many people in his 50 years when he had the stigmata. And he said that he would spend heaven curing people.
Okay.
So he's not sitting up there. I say to people, he's not sitting up in a cloud doing nothing up there. He's curing more people now than he ever did when he was alive.
Okay, and have you ever met anyone who's been cured by Padre?
Oh, my God, Joe. I could write a book the size of a Bible of cures, people that have been cured.
Okay, and there have been, I know the late, great Colm Keane from this parish wrote a book.
That's right, I read his book.
People who were cured by Padre Pio, and it was very, very, very moving book actually, and very convincing. Unfortunately, Colm died way too young on us. But anyway, Rosemary, okay, thanks. I mean, did you expect? My point I'm making earlier that the times we live in now, it's really, really uncertain times, difficult times, worrying times, and I'm interested in the name of the prayer group is Pray, Hope, and Don't Worry.
Yes. That's Padre Pio's one of the beads I actually have. I'm sitting here in my car at the minute, and my rosary beads that I got in San Giovanni, that's what it says on the 5 deck. It's Pray, Hope, and Don't Worry. Now, it's very difficult for when you hand a person like that who's at death's door or a family member, and it's very difficult to say that to them.
Yeah.
And I always say to everybody that comes from my glove, that Padre Pio will meet you halfway, but you have to meet him the rest in prayer.
Okay.
It's not a magic wand. In other words, what I'm trying to say, Joe, is people come and think, oh, well, you have this glove here, we heard it cured somebody. And I say, yes, but you have to back it up with prayer.
Yeah. Okay.
His favourite prayer was the Mass. Padre Pio said the most important prayer is the Mass, and after that the Rosary. And sadly, as we know in these times, it's fallen by the wayside, both going to church and saying the Rosary.
Yeah. Okay, Rosemary, stay with us. Joe at RT.ie, 51551 is the text number.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815. Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Marion Keane is in Cork. Padre Pio, the glove.
Hi, Joe.
Tell us your story, Marion, please.
I met, for over 30 years or more, I would have known a man in Cork that many people may know. He was called Donald Enright. He had the glove of Padre Pio, and he actually worked with Padre Pio in the 60s in San Giovanni. I was out in San Giovanni in 2005.
Okay.
And you went to Rome first and then went on up to where San Giovanni and went into the Padre Pio's house and everything.
Okay.
Brought around and brought into the church then. It would have been 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and the church was absolutely packed with people saying the rosary.
Yeah.
And to experience that, Joe, is just, I was there, and it was like, now I'm totally blind.
Okay.
And it was like being transformed into something else.
Yeah.
Then to line up and go up to touch the casket of Padre Pio, I had a monk that took me by the hand and brought me up on the step. And when I put my hand on there, it was just like that. I could feel the heat in my hand. It was just like something that I just did not want to leave there. As I said, I known Donal a long time.
And when you went out to San Giovanni, Marion,
yeah,
were you hoping for a miracle? Were you hoping to regain your eyesight?
Oh no, I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't hoping for a miracle because, like, I went out there just to experience. I had always wanted to go there to experience, but I got, I suppose, peace of mind, and it helped an awful lot. You know,
serenity, people talk.
In different ways.
Yeah.
With things in, say, in my life or whatever, I would turn to him and ask him, and things would happen when you'd least expect it to, and all of that, you know.
And do you turn to him in times of
I do.
stress and worry?
I do. I'll give you one instance there of my daughter there, who was registered as blind 7 years ago there.
Right.
We went to Donal, you know, because I used to, as I said, I knew Donal very well. He used to go around to churches everywhere, to everybody. So I went to see Donal, and she was just expecting her first child. We were very worried.
Yeah.
And he knew us very well. So he took out the relic, and it's like a big plastic now, and it's inside in that because like of wear and tear, so it had to be covered. So he asked my daughter to take it in her hand and put it on her stomach, and he told her to say a prayer, and we said the prayer, and he just said to her then, he says, I say to you through Padre Pio that you will have a child that will be perfect in every way. You need not worry. Your child will have perfect eyesight. It will have big blue eyes and blonde hair. And my grandchild was born on the 23rd of April 2015. It happened to be the anniversary of my mother's death. But my grandchild was born with big blue eyes and blonde hair and perfect eyesight. And even the doctors, you know, because there is an eyesight problem in my family.
Yeah.
And
is it hereditary as far as
hereditary?
Yeah.
And my daughter she has devotion. It took her a long time to, she just couldn't understand. She was, so fascinated by, she was saying, and I said, that's the work of Padre Pio. I said, he'll be there for you. And I said, she just, have Donald say that, but Donald, he used to have planes, about maybe 2 planes full every August going out to San Giovanni, and he could have filled more. He used to go out there with people, and the travelling and the good work and everything that the man done. His anniversary is this month, actually, and
September.
I miss him so much, like Donald. But
Donald, sorry, yeah.
I pray to him, through, and
okay.
So many stories, and it's just, I think, as you said, Joe, in the times that we're in, at night time there, I would say a decade of the Rosary, and I think it's needed now more than ever, for in the times that we're in. But Padre Pio has been, in my life, all of my life, and as I said, things have happened there. I lost my brother there 7 months ago. Within 6 weeks, we didn't know that he had cancer. He had a massive brain tumour, and nothing could have been done for it. And I turned to him then to give me the strength just to get through, because I was so close to my brother, and it was so unexpected. But,
And your devotion to Padre Pio helped?
Oh, it does, because, I say a decade of the Rosary. I have the beads with the scent of the roses, because,
Yeah.
But
okay, Marion, I'm glad to hear of your grandchild. That's a lovely story, and
well, I believe that to be a miracle, because there was the possibility 90% that there would have been, but we did go to Dolan, and we just put our faith and trust in Padre Pio, and so far she'll be making her first communion next year, and we do believe that it's through the intercession of Padre.
And who inherited the glove that Donald had?
Oh, some lady has it now,
okay.
because it was passed on to some lady.
Okay.
In Cork. I'm not quite sure now, but.
Okay, you're in Cork, Marion. I'm going to go to New Jersey, in the United States, where I've been contacted by Patrick Murray. Patrick, good afternoon.
And a very good afternoon, Joe. How are you?
Good. What's your connection with Padre Pio, please?
Well, when I lived in Cork City, I'm 65 now, but when I was 17, Joe, I got a terrible illness from jaundice.
Okay.
And going back those days, jaundice was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I ended up in St. Finbarr's Hospital for 5 weeks. And I couldn't eat, drink, nothing. And I remember the doctors had spoken to my parents and said that, if he goes into any type of coma, that, he most likely would not survive it. So my parents got, actually, I think it was John Lenwright, that name rings a bell with me, but I believe he came from Kerry, and he had the glove of Padre Pio, and it was encased in this, what I thought looked like a huge magnifying glass. And I remember I was isolated in a room, and he came into my room, and he took the blankets all down and waved the glove of Padre Pio from head to toe. And all I could do to him, I remember it so well, is that I started roaring laughing at the man. I just was in convulsions at him. And I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop laughing at him. And he never even blinked an eye. Never blinked an eye. Said a prayer. Don't know what the prayer was. I was 17, Joe. I didn't have much mass on religion or whatever. Anyway, they were saying a mass in Latin those days, and I couldn't even understand what they were saying. But I remember, after 5 weeks being in the hospital, I actually got up the following morning. I ate, I drank, and I never felt better. And there's no question that I attribute that to Padre Pio.
But what did the medics say?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Couldn't tell you. At 17, I didn't care, and I don't know what they said to my parents. But a week later, I was out of the hospital and in perfect health.
But what do you say to people, Pat? There's no science to prove this whatsoever. In the world we live in, especially now, climate change, COVID, Ukraine, threat of nuclear war, and within distance of Ireland, within shooting different distance of Ireland, pardon the pun, that people in times of worry do turn to the miraculous and the supernatural.
Joe, it's a matter of faith. Okay. And my faith tells me that Padre Pio will help me. He has never failed me throughout my life. Yeah. I don't ask him for money, and I don't ask him for any nonsense like that. My mother passed away on August 1st. But before she did, I was praying to Padre Pio to give her some peace, some tranquility, peace of mind. And she was 97. And she died a peaceful, glorious death. And there's no question in my mind that Padre Pio was behind that. And it's okay if people don't believe me. It's okay. But I believe it. And that's what matters to me. I hope others get inspiration from it. I do. I hope others get inspiration. But if they don't, it's okay. Because Padre Pio is going to be there for them anyway, whether they speak to him or whether they don't speak to him. You know, he is a saint, and he will look after you and will look over you. Now, that's just my belief, because that's what has worked for me. That's what has been given to me. And if anybody else wants it, all they have to do is ask. That's my belief, Joe.
Okay, well, that's a lovely way of putting it. I believe you're saying I believe it. You don't have to believe it. No one else has to believe it. It gives me comfort and solace and serenity, and so be it.
Absolutely.
And you're not forcing it on anyone else.
Okay.
Oh, God, no, okay. Obviously, yeah. I'm paraphrasing what your whole intent is, which is obviously very, very tranquil and serene. But you're saying let people believe what they want to believe, and when you say to the skeptics and people get annoyed and say the Padre Pio was putting acid on his hands and they were doing it for the money and.
Well, you know, we didn't pay anything to the man that came up to my hospital. We didn't pay him a penny. I don't think my parents even got a chance to say thank you. He just did it. So there has to be something. He believed it. He believed it was the glove of Padre Pio. I certainly believe it was the glove of Padre Pio. So I got cured. I mean, and the doctors couldn't do it because, again, in those days, John, this was a big deal. There was no cure for it, you know. So, you know, for me, he did it. Mm-hmm. And for every other thing that I've prayed for, and it's always been prayer for somebody else, never for me, it has always been answered. Maybe not in the way that I wanted it to be answered, but always been answered in the positive. Never, ever, ever has my prayers to Padre Pio been answered in the negative.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. That's very moving, Patrick. And what brought you to the States when you were a young man from Cork?
I left when I was 19, Joe, and I'm still here 45 years later. Retired and happy.
Good, and you haven't lost your Cork accent. The north side of Cork, isn't
No, and actually my home in Naples, Florida has been decimated.
Oh, of course,
but I'll build it back up. I'll build it back up, Joe, and I'll be praying to Padre Pio, and things are already happening in the positive for me, so I'm always going to be grateful to Padre Pio.
Well, I saw the footage over the weekend of even the fire service in Naples, Florida, where their station was completely overwhelmed. Are you saying your house was damaged, your home was damaged, Patrick?
Under 5 feet of water, completely decimated. It's gone. My car is gone. My home is gone. Everything is gone. Now, it's a winter home for me, Joe, but still, It's all gone. It's all gone completely. I have to build back up. It was a condominium, but a ground floor condominium, Joe, and it has to be built down to the studs, torn down, and rebuilt back up again. And no flood insurance because they won't write policies in Naples by the beach for flood insurance. So I'm on my own. But I know and I will build back up. I will build it back up. But, hard work and prayer, and Padre Pio will guide me. And I know that, Joe.
Okay. Well, you're safe anyway, Patrick. It's not the main thing.
Listen, I'm alive, and there are many people in Naples and around Florida, southwest Florida, that don't have the means to build back. They're going back to their homes and they have nothing to go for. Nothing. They don't have 2 dimes and a nickel to build their homes back up. And I'll be praying for them through Padre Pio as well. But it's just, if you saw it, Joe, it's apocalyptic. It's something out of Star Wars. Beyond all comprehension. It is just apocalyptic.
And where did you have to evacuate, Patrick, beforehand?
Well, I was up here, Joe. I
you're
only
in
spent
New
the
Jersey,
winter months.
Yeah,
I only spent the winter months there, so I was already up here. But I'm blessed. Is what I am.
Okay. Thanks indeed, Patrick. Patrick Murray in the United States of America. Joe at rte.ie.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Joe Duffy!
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Michelle Keane. Michelle, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joe, and thank you so much for inviting me on today to talk to you in relation to Padre Pio and the miracles. I suppose I was listening there to Patrick in the USA, and he was saying, that he mightn't have the science, but he has such great faith in Padre Pio. Yeah. My story is a little different, Joe. When I opened up the 7 wells of Kingdom water, Padre Pio and Our Lady divinely guided me in opening up these 7 wells on my backyard here in Knocknagoshel in County Kerry. And when I tested the water, I scientifically proven that there was over 66 minerals in the water. And at one stage, after opening up the 7th well, Padre Pio came to me in a vision and blessed me and said, Michelle, you need to test the water again for a full scope of minerals, because there's 66 minerals going to be in this water, not 40. So I tested the water again, and I scientifically proven with Southern Scientific's lab there back in Carnfour with Michael Murphy, the biochemist, and it proved that there was 66 minerals in the water. And not only that, I went to ALS Labs in Prague. They also came back with the identical results. So, Joe, I have people now from all over the country coming to me because I'm trialling this water. It's helping autistic kids because there's lithium in the water. It's calming down kids that are suffering from autism.
Yeah, but it's this. Hang on, Mary. Now, what are you saying is in this water?
Well, there's 66 minerals with healing properties in the water. I tested this water.
And how come Pfizer haven't bought you out?
Well, how do you know that they're not in the process of making?
Well, tell me, are they in the process?
Well, I'm in the process, Joe, of commercialising the water. I bought 6 acres over across the road from me here in Knocknagoshel to set up a bottling plant. And with the last 4 years, I'm trialling this water with people from all over the country. People in America, it's helped out a little baby Patrick. In different parts of the world, people have taken it and are reaping the benefits of it. You see, what I'm finding happening, Joe, is because of the huge mineral content, people are lacking this in their diet.
Yeah, but how did you find the water, and what's the connection with Padre Pio?
Padre Pio, I connect with angels and spirits. I wrote 2 books, one, The Discovery of Kingdom Water, and one, Kingdom of Angels. So I connect with spirits and saints and ascended masters. I see them now like, anyone would be in front of me. And they give me divine messages on what to do. And I faith.
And what does your water taste like?
Oh, look, when you drink my water, you'll know exactly that it's totally different to any other water you drink because of the mineral and metal element.
Well, tell me, does it taste metally or?
Yes, it does. Yeah, there's a nice palate of it. Yeah, nice taste when you taste it. But I mean, like people that are drinking 8 glasses of this water every day for 3 weeks, are seeing phenomenal results. So, like, I have the science to back up this. I have, like, because the lithium is effectively like gold in water. Like, you take St. Pat's there in Dublin, when people are suffering from depression.
Yeah, it's medication.
They're put on lithium.
Yeah, there'd be concentrated lithium. There wouldn't be a lot of lithium in water, would there?
This is pure lithium in the right quantity and consistency in water. Like, Joe, when you look at Irish water and
Well, Mary, if I was you, I'd be putting a pretty solid fence around your land to stop all these companies getting in and robbing this
water, Joe. It's under my ground, in my backyard.
But is it all over the kingdom?
No. I've tested water everywhere. This is specific to where I live in Knocknagoshel.
Okay. And when you boil it, have you ever boiled the water?
Oh, I drink tea in my coffee every day.
And what's a cup of tea taste like with the Padre Pio water?
I drink water, a cup of tea like it when you drink mine. It's absolutely beautiful. And the thing is, Joe, I haven't treated this. There's no treatment in this. Mm-hmm. This is pure raw. Like, water is so powerful. Without it,
absolutely.
Without water, nothing sustains on this planet.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And you're talking there about people being skeptic, like Father Massey there in Castle Island. He has a huge devotion to Padre Pio, and every first Tuesday of every month he has a huge mass in celebration of Padre Pio's life, and has testimonies of people at Kerry and all over the country coming down to him and giving their testimonials of how powerful the miracles that have happened to them with their miracles. And like, he has really supported me, and he even said himself that my project brings up the whole issue of the earth and the care for it and how we cultivate it.
Well, you see, isn't I was saying that earlier, that's one of the reasons why people are very stressed at the minute. There's Ukraine, there's COVID for the last 3 years, there's climate change, the world is going to hell in a handcart.
So people are not spiritually awake. 85% of people are not spiritually awakened. And all I know in my own life, because, I've had many dark days myself, prayer has pulled me through everything.
Okay.
People now...
Yeah, I respect that.
People, like, I wrote my 2 books and published them, not to brainwash anyone. I'm simply putting my story out there. Okay. And, like, it's a phenomenal story that to think that your ancestors, Our Lady, Padre Pio, have divinely guided me into finding and opening up 7 wells of water with 66 minerals in the water.
Okay,
and
I get that point.
That, and if nothing else, the amount of people hundreds of people that I've helped that have come to me now, with cures from this water, because like what people forget, Joe, is Ireland is a nation of holy wells. And if you notice where any of the wells in this country are, they're not near rivers. They're in the middle of fields. Everything.
Okay, Michelle, I've got to leave. That's Michelle of the 7 Wells, and that's the author of the book is called The Kingdom. What's the book called, Michelle?
Sorry, the book is called The Discovery of Kingdom Water.
Okay. Thanks, Michelle. Joe at RT.ie.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Joe Duffy.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Edward Cummins and lots of other people as well. But Edward, your point, please.
Joe, how are you? I was just listening to the last lady.
Yeah.
And she was thinking about this water that has these properties.
Yeah.
And how she's had, really astounding results.
She says, yeah.
Yeah.
Course, yeah.
Well,
no, I've no evidence of them now.
I would have a faith, I'd have faith.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to Mass very often. I wouldn't, pray a lot. I just have faith in the goodness of people, and I kind of struggle with my faith every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'll do that till the day I die, because that's what you need to do. You need to challenge what you believe.
Okay.
You need to, have faith in the goodness of people. But, when people come on and say that they've discovered this miraculous water and, if you come down, you get a bottle of it and it'll solve all your problems. But
I know I think people understand that.
Oh, do you understand? But the reality is, Joe...
How many miracles has the church recognised?
Yeah, in I watched a documentary a number of years ago. I think it was Fatima or Lourdes, and in 150 years, they've recognised less than 50 miracles. That's probably one every 3 years. Now these are things that are unexplained, and people go there and they're cured. But the priest who was talking on this documentary, he was the archivist in either Fatima or Lourdes, and he noted that in the secular world, in the world where people just get up out of bed every morning, they go to work and they're good to their neighbours, and they don't really pray, or they don't have any great belief. In the secular world, in relation to say 150 million people have gone to Lourdes or Fatima over the 150 years, in the secular world, the record of unexplained cures is roughly the same.
Okay, so what do you think, just to finish where we started, what do you think of the apparition that's now being reported down in the church in Limerick on the occasion of the anniversary of the death of Padre Pio? What do you think of that photograph,
I think,
that image?
You can, although if you look at the different cultures around the world and what they believe, what they're rare to believe is what they see. You know, in different parts of the world, if they believe that Christ was black, they see a black
good point.
Saviour.
Yeah.
And I just come back from the Holy Land. I was on a tour there for 8 days, and it was really fantastic historically, and it humanised Jesus to me, made him a human being. But one of the people on the tour made a comment that when they were reared and when they were taught in school, the Jesus that they believed in and the Mary they believed in and saw was totally different to what the people they experienced in the Holy Land. They looked completely different to the images she grew up and learned. And if you look at apparitions in Knock and all that, Our Lady is seen with this white gown and blue, but Mary,
that was what we were told.
They
were the images we had.
So
yeah.
I think
They're the images we grew up on. Okay, Edward, I'm pure rude. I don't mean to be good. I mean I'm all good. Fergus Sweeney produced. Ray Darcy is next.
0818 715 815 stays open until 3:15 p.m. or email Joe at rte.ie.